Welcome back to another episode of Get Paid for Your Pad. Again, I am your host, Kaye Putnam, here with Eric Moeller, CEO of Freewyld and Freewyld Foundry. What is up, Eric?
Hello, hello, hello. This is becoming fun running
Oh,
this podcast.
the intro is starting to just roll off my tongue. It's like I've been doing it for years.
That's right. I love it. I'm excited about today. This is going to be a fun topic, something that's very close to my heart and something I think the industry needs right now.
One of the first things that I noticed about you when we first met and first started working together was all of the different masterminds that you were a part of. And I've got to witness firsthand you growing and working through problems with support because you'll be like, hey, my mastermind had this conversation or my mastermind had that conversation. Can you tell us the story? What impact have masterminds had on you personally?
To me, masterminds, they've changed my life and continue to change my life. I was first introduced to the concept of a mastermind through Think and Grow Rich. It's one of the first books I read when I got into self-development and entrepreneurship and all of that. But it took me a long time to really understand the right masterminds to get involved with, how to get value out of masterminds, how to find them, all of that. I think a mastermind is the most powerful thing entrepreneurs, especially today, can get involved with. I think we all get lost in the idea of constantly seeking out new education or tools or the thing, when most of the time all you really need is like-minded individuals that are on the same path as you, trying to solve the same problems or have solved the same problems that could just give you perspective. And that's probably the biggest thing out of these masterminds is perspective. Obviously, the community is the most important, but perspective is so freaking valuable. I'm personally going through it today as a business owner of man, we have so much happening and so many different things. I don't know if we're making the right decisions. I don't know if we're moving fast enough or moving too fast. So all those questions are going through my mind today. And all I had to do was pick up my phone and text a couple of groups I'm a part of, and they're giving me some direct perspective of where I'm at now. Yeah, community perspective and just masterminds in general have been just life-changing. We just see a major need in the short-term rental industry for a high-level group, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. But let's kind of explain what a mastermind is so everyone's on the same page and they can also understand how to go either seek one out or create one themselves.
Yes.
I'm curious, what's your take on what a mastermind is?
The definition that I've heard is something like a collective intelligence. So, like a group of peers who are all showing up and supporting each other in whatever their goals are. And it's really about that collaboration and the magic of a group environment versus just receiving information or receiving advice. It's this back and forth and conversation that's happening over time with people that you trust and that have that perspective. How do you define it?
Yeah, I think the most important part is it's a group of like-minded individuals that have similar ambition and similar goals. They're on similar paths. I've been involved in a lot of masterminds that are a whole bunch of different industries into one, and those are valuable for sure. But the ones that I find the most valuable is industry specific or problem specific. Right. So in a couple of weeks, I'm flying down to Austin, Texas to be in a room. And this is just a weekend mastermind of a whole bunch of different industries, but we're there to specifically talk about marketing. Right. And AI in marketing. So you could break it down per topic, but what I found the most valuable is like-minded individuals. If you're meeting in person that are anywhere between 8 and 12 people, if you're involved in online masterminds, it's okay to have bigger groups for sure, but you definitely want to seek out the people that you want to connect with. So it's a community of individuals that have similar ambitions, similar goals that come together to share their perspective and their experience. So you guys everyone can grow together.
And to be clear, these take different shapes and forms. Like you mentioned, you're doing a weekend mastermind, but some masterminds last for years or into perpetuity. You lived in kind of like a live-in mastermind when you lived in the entrepreneur house a couple years ago. Do you remember what motivated you? So you read about it in Think and Grow Rich. How did you actually decide that you needed a mastermind, or how did you find your first one? Do you remember?
Well, I created my first one because I couldn't find anything around me. So I actually just created a post about this on LinkedIn. I live in San Diego, Encinitas. It's like a hub for entrepreneurs. And I moved to San Diego specifically to be around the people that live here. But when I was living in Jersey, I wasn't surrounded by other entrepreneurs, right? And the problems that I was going through in my business at that time, trying to figure out how to build a business from the ground up, it's really challenging to get feedback from the people around you, right? And there's this famous quote that changed my life. It's, you're the total sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? And I read that and I was like looking at my homies that are around me. I'm like, all right, I love these guys, but we are on completely different career paths here and thought processes, and they're not giving me the feedback that I need to solve these problems. So I remember putting together a small little group of like, hey, this is a mastermind. I want to figure out these problems. And I just led a conversation like, hey, what challenges are you going through? Let's all try to solve that problem. So we created that with a group of 5 of us that all owned real estate businesses at the time. And this was a long time ago. And it was a mess. It was crazy, but it was super valuable. I've been involved in, I don't know how many masterminds, and I've ran a handful of masterminds myself. Throughout the years, the ones that I have found truly valuable are the people that are showing up willing to give value more than receiving value. Because giving the value, you start seeing, again, the perspective, you start understanding where you're at in your journey and the problems that you're overcoming. And then you start recognizing like, oh, this problem that I thought was a problem is not actually a problem. Here's the solution, because you just talk through it.
This happens to me more often than not. I'm in the hot seat, as they're often called in masterminds, where a person has the floor and brings their most pressing problem. And as you're talking through it in front of these trusted peers, these relationships that you've built over time, it's like, oh, yeah, okay, maybe I do know the answer. And then oftentimes, even if you think that you know the answer, just hearing it from somebody else's point of view is going to give you ideas that you wouldn't have thought of on your own, which is amazing, especially as an entrepreneur, because like you said, it's so lonely when you're sitting behind a screen, or even if you have a team, if you don't have somebody that you can have those CEO level conversations with and work on your business, not just in your business, you're going to stagnate and kind of stall out because you are just spinning your wheels from the day to day. You mentioned a couple things. It's like industry specific is super powerful. There's different containers, if you will, different contexts, different time frames. So probably deciding in advance how much time you have to invest into this group. What do you think are the things the person who's listening needs to bring to a mastermind, or needs to have the mindset of, to get the most results possible or the most impact possible from being a part of a group like this?
Those 2 quotes, just kind of keeping in mind all the time, is you're the total sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And then number 2 is the other famous quote of, your network is your net worth, right? You know, the masterminds that we run, we see a lot of people that join and they like to kind of sit on the calls or just like kind of be in the background, but they don't get involved, and they are air quote too busy to shut everything off and be present to the moment, right? So to get the most value out of these masterminds, to me, it's always preparing ahead of time. This is actually something I learned in my time at the Epic Entrepreneur House, was the 2 questions of every single mastermind. What's the one challenge that I'm willing to pay $1 million to get the answer to? So what's the biggest thing that you need the most support on, that you're willing to spend your life savings on to get that answer? And then number 2 is, where can you bring value to the group? So in the Epic Entrepreneur House, for everyone who doesn't know, it was created by Chandler Bolt and Autzen Netzley nearly 10 years ago. And the concept was renting this huge 6-bedroom house in San Diego and bringing 6-figure entrepreneurs together to live together and grow together. And the house is still going. You can see them on Instagram at the Epic Entrepreneur House. So there's a whole new generation that's in there doing their whole thing. It's kind of crazy. I lived there for about 4.5, 5 years, and you were living in a mastermind essentially. So everyone who lived there had a 6-figure startup business. We had a weekly house mastermind, a monthly community mastermind, and then a quarterly retreat. And we had different speakers that came to the house, and we had a chef and an assistant, and it was crazy. It was amazing to be a part of. But every single Monday at 7 p.m., from 7 on the dot to 9 p.m., the housemates got together at the mastermind table, and everyone had a slice of time to bring those 2 topics to the table. What is the number 1 challenge that you need the most support on? advice on, or feedback on? And then number two is, where's your area of value that you can bring to the group? What's the one piece of value that you can bring? And sometimes that value is like, hey, I just read this book, right? Or like, hey, I found this new AI tool. That's great. Or it's like, hey, this is what I learned by failing at this thing. I think to get the most value out of these groups, you have to think ahead of time. What is your number one challenge that you want to get some feedback on this week? Number two is, where can you bring value? And if you just are constantly asking yourself that and prepare and to be present, especially if you're a part of a mastermind that's online, virtual mastermind, shut off your phone, block out the time, shut off Slack. You don't need to be doing anything else. Be present and bring value and find value.
Yeah, exactly. I can't remember which famous CEO it was, but one of them famously has thinking time as his like highest leverage, most important time. And this is similar to that. It's that important that if you are splitting your attention and just trying to do it halfway, you're not going to get any of the impact that you're looking for. For the person who's listening, you're like, okay, this all sounds great. Or like, I don't know, maybe I did a mastermind before. It wasn't that exciting. How do we find the right fit for us? And where do we find these groups of magical humans that want to help us grow?
Yeah, I've been involved in the whole mastermind world as a participant, ran masterminds, but then I have lots of friends that run high level masterminds, like people that you have to pay 100,000, 250,000 a year to be part of their mastermind. My thought process on this is, you're seeking one or two things. I'm not a fan of joining masterminds where you're seeking the expert individual that's at the top that is speaking down to you of like, follow my way and you'll get rich too type of idea, right? That's a whole different vibe, right? Unless you're just getting started in business, you need mentors and you need educators to kind of show you the way. It's very valuable to invest into those people. But in a mastermind, it should be all about the other participants that are in the room, right? It's not us speaking to you. It's us being the conduit between the best humans that we can find in this industry that are on the same path with the same mindset. For everyone who's listening, I would decide which avenue you want to take. Do you need the expert mentor educator that is teaching you their way? And that's more of a coaching program, or seek out the groups that are the best at being the conduit between the people in the industry. It's all about the room. Again, the mindset. You are the sum of the total 5 people you spend time with, and your network is your net worth. You don't want to be in a group where they're just selling to sell seats and get a bunch of people in there, and they're going to teach you their way, their magic way of becoming a millionaire or whatever. And the reason why we're talking about this is like, we see a huge need in the short-term rental industry, especially now with where the industry is going, is more of that group cutting out the noise and bringing the best people together in the room to solve certain things in their business, versus just a expert teaching you their way, or just a group that talks about anything. For me, when I seek out masterminds, I'm getting very clear on what is the one challenge that we're experiencing right now in our business that we need support on. So like this Austin, Texas mastermind I'm jumping into, it's very relevant for us, marketing and AI, right? And it's like a solid group for me to get involved with and focus on that one challenge. But then in the short-term rental industry or the hotel industry, I'm seeking industry specific masterminds that have people that are actually doing the thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There's a lot of groups I've been a part of, like, haven't really started yet, or, I'm kind of doing this, I'm kind of doing that. It's like, no, you want to be in a room with people that are actually solving the same problems you're solving.
Right. Yeah. Because if you're doing hosting as a side hustle, chances are you want to be around other people that are doing a similar thing. But for a lot of our clients, they are full time professional in their business. So if you're getting advice or experiences from somebody who only has 1 or 2 properties and is just doing it on the side when they can fit it in, you're going to get a wildly different perspective. Of course, there could potentially be some value there, but it's not as fine tuned to where you're at in your business. So the room really counts. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for sure. How to find them is a whole other avenue. It's all about networking, right? Because the only way to really understand if a room is valuable is talking to the people that are in that room. Okay. So, and I look all the time, I'm constantly trying to search for like, is there a local group? Is there another mastermind I should be involved in? And there's really nothing that has grabbed my attention recently. And the reason why I'm going to this Austin one is one, I know the person that's running it. And two, I know three people that are in that room and the value that they got out of that room a month ago or 2 months ago. Right. So I'm like, all right, I'm all in. It's worth the money. It's worth the flight. It's worth me showing up and being present to that space. That is the biggest thing, is like getting on LinkedIn, getting involved in the groups, online groups, and start understanding where are the most successful people in our industry going and what rooms are they involved in and how do you get that invite to get into that room.
Amazing. Can you share more about the Foundry Mastermind? This is all brand new, completely reimagined, just publicly released it this week. So it is fresh and exciting for us on the team. And we're excited to share more about it because it truly is filling a hole that we just couldn't fill with other things that were out there. So what was
Yeah.
the motivation behind the Foundry Mastermind?
Yeah. So, Jasper and I, we started our partnership with the mastermind. We launched the STR Legends mastermind a handful of years ago because we saw a similar need in the industry of like no more big events with thousands of people and people speaking at you and not really being relevant or valuable to you. It's like, how do we get the best people in this event together in a room to talk about what's actually working in their businesses? We started that a handful of years ago, and it's been life-changing for us and the people that were involved in it. And throughout the years, we've had smaller masterminds that we ran. The most recent is the Rising Star Mastermind, which we just shut down after probably 6 years of running that, 5 years of running that, which has been amazing. But what we recognize is like with the growth of Freewyld and the path that we're taking of raising money and buying boutique hotels and building this vision of this global hospitality brand, it's a whole different conversation. And the problems that we're solving to achieve that goal is completely different than anything we've ever accomplished before or asked ourselves before. And then what we're recognizing is that the short-term rental industry is evolving so quick, and there's really no groups, because we were seeking it for ourselves to be participants, and we interviewed all the best masterminds out there, and just they're doing a great job for what they are, but they're not solving the problem of how do you support existing short-term rental hosts that are running a business. How do you help them build a lasting brand? How do you drive real profitability in their business? How do you solve the leadership problems, the hiring, and the dynamic of running a virtual team? And I'm not talking about virtual assistants. I'm talking about like our team. Our team's everywhere now. From a leadership standpoint, it's a different approach to building team culture and achieving goals when everyone is virtually on different time zones, right? And then also it's like, how do we stand out with all the competition and change that's happening in the short-term rental industry? So yeah, we decided to launch the Foundry Mastermind, which is predominantly focused on existing short-term rental hosts that are focused on scale, right? So we have our RPM clients that are a part of it. So the top 1% short-term rental operators in the world are part of this mastermind. But then we also have operators and short-term rental hosts at scale that are focused on solving these problems. They're focused on solving brands. They're focused on solving revenue growth strategies or revenue management. They're focused on operations. How do we dial in operations at the highest level? And then most importantly, how do we drive unreasonable hospitality in our business? So that is what I'm excited about, because it's the problems that we're trying to solve every single day. But now the conversations that we're building around this is, we're bringing everybody together. We're kind of sitting back and we're learning from what everyone else is doing. And it's become one of the most valuable rooms that we're in today.
Exactly. Speaking of the people in the room, like you mentioned, our RPM clients, so these are all businesses that are generating over $1 million in bookings. Not everybody in the mastermind is at that level, but the conversations are at that level where we're thinking about that type of scale and that type of team and that type of portfolio and figuring out the answers to the challenges that come at that level. It's been so fun to be able to participate in the last couple of calls, learning from the people in the mastermind. It's really that shift of mindset of not just be like, okay, I'm paying for this group, I'm going to show up. But the people that really commit to showing up and sharing and being vulnerable, we all learn so much from each other. And it's
Yep.
been the best seeing that.
Yep.
If you are interested in learning more about the Foundry Mastermind, just head over to freewildfoundry.com. There's a link up in the menu for the mastermind and the doors are open.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I'm excited about it. With us deciding to run a mastermind every Thursday around different topics is really important too, because I know for myself, it's throughout the week, there's certain things that pop up that, yeah, I have certain people I can go to, and as the team is solving it, but then having this space every single week where we can bring these challenges to the group and just get feedback, which is great. That's super valuable for me personally in running Freewyld. But then two is like the people that we're bringing in. So I think it's 2 weeks from now, we're bringing in Christian and Kevin, who are our secret sauce behind how we are building our Freewyld team. People that have been listening to this podcast may or may not know this, but over the last, what's it been, I guess, year, we've been really focusing on how do we hire the best, most talented people in the world that also fit our culture. And we tried everything, better talent, which has been great. They've helped us hire a couple of people. Kevin and Christian have been our behind the scenes magic makers of connecting the dots and helping us find the best people in the industry. So this has been one of the biggest challenges for most of our mastermind members is how do we find and retain good, talented human beings? And it is a growing challenge. It's a growing challenge in every industry. And these two guys have really figured it out, and they've been quiet behind the scenes, just helping people build businesses. So they're going to be in the mastermind in 2 weeks from now, teaching us their secret sauce, which I'm super excited about. And then we're, of course, working on some other things behind the scenes as well. Yeah. So if this is resonating with anyone who's listening, we would love to chat with you guys, get you guys involved in this. Again, we're not being the experts at the top of the stage talking at you. Our goal is to be the conduit between the best people that we can find. So check out the mastermind. You can join just right on the website. Or if you have any questions for us, just reach out to us. We're more than happy to connect and chat through this.
Amazing. I think that's a good place to close. Thank you so much for sharing your mastermind stories with us, Eric. It's always going to be on my goal list to be around peers that I can learn from, that can learn from me. And this is such a underutilized or overlooked way of doing that. We look to try to find like the gurus or the people that have it all figured out, but the reality is, like you say, business is just constant problem solving. So we need that constant resource to be able to solve those problems in real time, and a mastermind is a great place to do that.
I'll leave on this note because this just popped into my mind. I got involved in masterminds as I was starting and trying to grow businesses. I always thought masterminds were for that, for people that were just getting started or just trying to figure out stuff. But what I've recognized with watching a couple of friends that have grown these global brands, and a couple have become billionaires through the process and been in masterminds with those individuals, watching them through their journey, they're still on their mastermind journey. So I have a friend who I was living with at the entrepreneur house who recently sold a global brand and entered into incredible amount of wealth. And his first thought process was, what room do I need to be in to understand how to manage this wealth? Right. So there's no finish line to it. Right. And I just wanted to share that because I feel like if you're a person of growth, you value growing and pushing your business and always learning, there's always a group for you to enter into. I didn't even know that there's like masterminds for people that have 500 million in personal wealth or a billion in personal wealth. But those masterminds are out there because now they have new problems to solve, which is understanding how to manage all this money that they have and the blessed challenges that come along with being in that position. So I just wanted to share that. It's like, regardless of the journey that you're at, there's going to be a group for you. If you're just getting started, seek out that expert type of coaching program. If you're in that middle ground of like you're established and you're growing and you're dealing with real business problems of profitability and scale and team and operations, group like ours, Foundry Mastermind, or another group out there that's focused on that, is where you have to be. And then if you're the few that are at that incredible success level, there are groups out there to solve those bigger problems too. So, but we'll leave on that. Appreciate your time, Kaye. Thank you. You're crushing it being the host of this podcast. And curious too, anyone who's listening, if you guys have any topics, anything that you want us to go into, really curious to hear from you. So feel free to reach out to us. And Kaye and I are just going to continue to pump out these podcasts.
Love it. Thank you so much. Eric is on LinkedIn. That's the best place to reach him and give us sweet episode ideas. And we'll see you in the next one.
That's it. Take care, people.